Good morning, everybody. It is our international live organized by LAIS with the International Council for Open and Distance Education, the ICDE. So it's an opportunity to share with very, very important friends and very important experts in the area of lifelong learning for health professionals. We are going to talk today to Gaia Gamerhaft, who is the head of learning and capacity development at HWO Health Emergencies Program, and Gabriel Listovisk from Pan American Health Organization. And also, we have a pre-recorded talk of Mr. Ricardo Valentim, who is the coordinator of LAIS. Ricardo is going to greet all of us for this opportunity of sharing in this morning, but if you're in China, during the evening, or in Geneva early in the afternoon. So he will greet us, introduce LAIS and show the Avasus and what we do. And also at the end of it, there is a very interesting video showing the experience of an OER that was produced for Brazil, but then it was made a derived OER for Tanzania health workers. So we will see the video of the team that went to Tanzania to understand the needs of that population. So be welcome, Ricardo.
A pandemia, ela é algo global e ela tem trazido para o centro do debate diversos pontos, em especial a questão da resiliência de sistemas de saúde. A resiliência do sistema de saúde, ela se baseia na capacidade que os nossos sistemas, e aí em todos os lugares do mundo, têm a capacidade que esses sistemas têm de responder a momentos de crise. E a pandemia, ela trouxe várias crises, né? A crise de abastecimento de insumos, de tecnologias, de medicamentos. Observamos que era preciso avançar muito, apesar de toda a tecnologia que nós temos, várias ações eram precisas ser feitas. E uma das formas para que a gente consiga produzir resiliência e dar uma resposta maior, e no caso de uma pandemia, isso trata-se no contexto da saúde global, é a educação. Então, muitos problemas nós tínhamos, muitas discussões no âmbito da educação. E a pandemia, ela trouxe um ensinamento muito forte. Ela acelerou a questão da educação mediada por tecnologia. Então, a educação mediada por tecnologia, ela tem essa capacidade de introduzir uma resposta muito mais rápida, porque ela alcança rapidamente, no mundo digital, diversos contextos, diversos territórios, diversos lugares do mundo real. Então, a capacitação de profissionais de saúde durante esse processo da pandemia foi algo que fortaleceu o ensino, mas o ensino mediado por tecnologia, que sempre foi colocado em dúvida. Aqui no Laboratório de Inovação Tecnológica em Saúde, nós temos essa experiência já que nós desenvolvemos desde 2013. Então, desde 2013, nós vamos trabalhando com a educação mediada por tecnologia, onde desenvolvemos uma plataforma chamada de Avasus, Ambiente Virtual de Aprendizagem do Sistema Único de Saúde brasileiro. Ou seja, essa plataforma ela já vem desde 2013 promovendo resiliência e permitindo que o Brasil dê resposta rápida a determinados contextos. Temos alguns exemplos. O primeiro exemplo de resposta que essa plataforma deu foi exatamente na época da Copa do Mundo. Pós-Copa do Mundo, nós tivemos, por exemplo, a questão da microcefalia, que foi causado pelo vírus da Zika. Então, esse vírus ele criou um dano enorme social no país, e durante esse período, a formação dos profissionais de saúde para poder fazer o manejo clínico desses pacientes e a orientação dessas famílias que tiveram crianças, bebês, com microcefalia foi feita através do Avasus. Então, foi um curso online onde a taxa de matrícula ultrapassava mais de 1.000 inscritos por dia. Vimos isso também durante o surto da sífilis. Então, no Brasil, nós estamos numa epidemia de sífilis, onde nós tivemos, nos últimos 5 anos, um aumento de 5.000% dos casos de sífilis no Brasil. Mais uma vez, o ambiente virtual de aprendizagem do SUS vem para qualificar os profissionais, qualificar a população geral, esclarecer sobre a sífilis, o que é essa infecção sexualmente transmissível e como trabalhar, como tratar, testar e curar a sífilis, fazer o manejo clínico desse paciente, levar esse conceito para a agenda da gestão. E vimos agora, durante a pandemia, um curso que foi feito com a Organização Pan-Americana de Saúde para o manejo clínico da Covid, para levar informação qualificada para a população e para os profissionais de saúde, um curso ultrapassar mais de 200 mil inscritos em todo o globo. Ou seja, apesar deste curso estar totalmente em português, nós conseguimos capilarizar os 5 continentes do globo terrestre, mais de 2.800 municípios e atingir mais de 200 mil inscritos. Ou seja, é uma marca incrível de capacitação online, algo que presencialmente seria praticamente impossível de fazer. Então, o ambiente virtual de aprendizagem do SUS, ele foi sim, está sendo uma ferramenta de resposta importante para o enfrentamento da Covid-19 no nosso país, e o Brasil passa a contribuir com outras nações no momento que disponibiliza esse curso aberto e gratuito para todo mundo. Nós já temos essa experiência. Vivemos uma experiência muito boa, estamos vivendo ainda com a Tanzânia, região subsaariana da África, aonde um brasileiro, numa missão humanitária, conheceu o ambiente virtual de aprendizagem do SUS, o nosso AvaSUS, e nos convidou para que pudéssemos compartilhar e transferir conhecimento para a Tanzânia, especificamente para profissionais de saúde voluntários que se qualificariam através dessa plataforma e que levaria esse conhecimento para a sua população, que é uma população muito carente. E aí nós fizemos uma missão humanitária e agora vocês vão ter a oportunidade de assistir o vídeo Olhares. E espero que esse vídeo sirva aí para o nosso amigo Gabriel, para o nosso amigo K.O. e para a Gaia, para que sirva de inspiração para esse debate durante essa live e que possa enriquecer uma experiência totalmente pautada na Agenda 2030 dos Objetivos de Desenvolvimento Sustentável da ONU. Ou seja, o LAIS ele tem essa expertise na cooperação nacional e internacional. E acreditamos que são experiências como essa, do Olhares, que se o mundo, se a saúde global tivesse mais engajada com esse propósito, o enfrentamento para a Covid teria sido muito melhor, muito mais amplo e muito mais solidário. Aproveitem o Olhares.
Você tem que desenvolver algo que mude. E para mim o que desenvolve algo que mude é a educação na saúde, cara. A educação na área de saúde muda. Entendeu? Eu sou gaúcho, né? Sou natural de Gravataí, Rio Grande do Sul. Sou missionário da Jocum já desde 99. Nós rodamos aí alguns países com a Jocum. Sou casado, tenho como profissão, sou técnico de informática, né? E para mim, eu tenho um amor com a África, um chamado, eu coloco isso como um chamado de Deus com esse continente. E eu estive aqui durante 5 anos no Senegal e alguns países da África do Oeste. E agora nós viemos para a Tanzânia. Estamos aqui faz 8 meses, né? Eu e minha família.
Eu trabalho através de uma organização missionária chamada Jocum, Jovens com uma Missão. Em inglês é YWAM, Youth with a Mission. Essa organização é uma organização missionária de caráter internacional, interdenominacional, onde todos os seus missionários são voluntários dentro da missão. Aqui na Jocum nós temos várias bases dentro do país que têm trabalhado com escolas, tem trabalhado com centros de recuperação, escolas de formação missionária, escolas para ensinar inglês básico para a população local, escola para ensinar costuraria, para ensinar carpintaria, mecânica básica, para trazer formações para as pessoas, para essas comunidades que têm necessidades. A Tanzânia é um país onde entre 70% a 80% da sua população vivem na zona rural, vivem em aldeias separadas da cidade, né? A maioria das famílias que vivem nas vilas, elas têm uma refeição por dia. E outras famílias, a maioria também delas, elas vivem com o equivalente a $1 por dia. Isso eu estou dizendo uma família de 6, 7, 8 pessoas. É o pai, a mãe, mais 5 filhos ou 6 filhos, quando o marido não tem 3 esposas, né? Quando tem mais... E nós começamos a perceber que essas pessoas que moravam nas aldeias, distantes das cidades, eles não tinham um acesso a uma saúde básica. E eu vi muitos casos de pessoas morrerem por falta de um tratamento básico na área de saúde, né? Eu já vi pessoas aqui morrer por causa de apendicite, que é teoricamente uma coisa razoavelmente básica, né? Não deveria ninguém morrer de apendicite por causa de um apendicite que teve problema. Há pessoas que morrem por causa da malária, morrem por causa da febre tifoide, H. pylori, né? Tuberculose, HIV, que já são doenças um pouco mais graves. Então nós começamos a levantar recursos para ajudar essas comunidades a ter água. E aí esses recursos eram para abrir poços artesianos. E através então dos poços artesianos, comunidades com 1.500 até 2.000 pessoas começou a ter água, né? Nós temos aqui nessa comunidade um poço artesiano, onde as pessoas vêm diariamente e bombeiam a sua água e levam a sua água para casa para fazer comida, para tomar banho, para beber, para suas necessidades básicas do dia a dia.
Esse curso foi fantástico. Fantástico. O AvaSUS eu estava em São Paulo, pensando em como usar a tecnologia para promover a saúde aqui na Tanzânia. E daí, pela internet, eu encontrei aquele sistema do AvaSUS. Me interessei e daí vi que tinha lá o curso para agente comunitário de saúde, que é algo que tinha uma linguagem muito simples que se encaixava perfeitamente no meu desejo de promover uma melhora de saúde para as pessoas, não somente no tratamento, entende? Às vezes você pensa que a saúde só vai vir atrás de um médico tratando, não, você precisa trazer um médico para tratar, curar as pessoas e gerar uma educação de saúde para que as pessoas não se perpetuem com aqueles mesmos problemas, mas sim os problemas encontrem a finalização. Então a AvaSUS entrou nisso, daí eu fiz o curso online e depois fiz o de endemias e vi, nossa, a gente precisa, como na África é muito pequeno o número de criação de agentes comunitários nas comunidades rurais, é quase que inexistente, e eu vi aí um caminho para realmente mudar a vida das pessoas através da educação na área de saúde. Eu entendo que essa modalidade de educação free, open source, entendeu? Aberta, entende? Numa linguagem acessível a todos, ela é revolucionária na minha concepção, entendeu? No momento que a gente tem todo um ambiente que faz essa sinergia com a pessoa da vila, que ela possa ver num vídeo, na linguagem dela, no dia a dia dela, e ela se ver naquela situação, é certo que ela vai mudar. No momento que ele sabe que ele tem que fazer o banheirinho dele distante tantos metros do local, no momento que ele sabe que a água que está empoçada em tal lugar lá, miliano, ela também procria mosquitos que vai deixá-lo doente, pô, isso não tem preço, cara. E ninguém pode roubar dele. O que rouba dele? Ninguém rouba isso dele, esse conhecimento.
Yeah, I think through education, health education to the village people, it can help each other to teach their families, to talk with their family how to prevent these diseases using the education. For instance, how can we prevent from the contaminated water to make it clean water, make it good water, to remain their family good health from this disease, which is very common in this area.
Yes, exactly. I believe one day the community will gonna change.
Kwa sababu hii ni kazi nzuri sana, kwa sababu elimu tunaipata ambayo tunaweza tukaitumia katika maisha yetu yote. Kwa sababu mtu ukishapata elimu, yani hapo inakuwa umeshaelewa jinsi wanavyofundisha.
Muitas pessoas vêm para cá achando que vai ensinar bastante, né? E chegam aqui e percebem que elas aprendem muito mais do que ensinam. Então isso é África, né? Você vem para a África com muitas expectativas. A gente escuta muitas histórias e a gente vem para cá achando que vai ajudar muito. Você ajuda, é verdade, mas você também sai muito ajudado.
Eu acredito que nós na realidade, nós temos muita expectativa com a evidência dessa parceria, porque nós somos missionários. Eu sou um técnico em informática e missionário, amante de Deus e amante de fazer o bem para as pessoas, porque eu acredito que essa é a minha missão. E no momento que a gente se envolve com pessoas, com profissionais da área, da tecnologia, pessoas com know-how, com tentáculos em governos, em ambientes que se decide políticas públicas, isso faz com que nos dá esperança de que realmente as nossas atividades aqui, elas podem se perpetuar e fazer a diferença. Essa é a verdade. Essa é a verdade. Porque a gente passa, cara. A gente vai embora, mano. Mas isso daqui, cara, entendeu? Essa é a verdade. É fazer algo que possa mudar mesmo, entendeu? Que não seja só tempo perdido. Essa é a verdade.
Oh
I'd like to thank Professor Ricardo Valentim for his speech and showing us the video. I would like Gaia and Gabriel to explain that it was not just a translation. They wanted the material in Swahili. So we didn't just translate it into Swahili. We went to Tanzania. We had a team of medical doctors from Tanzania who helped adapt all the material to the protocols in Tanzania and to derive an OER that is curated. So in the health area, as we know, we cannot just translate sometimes, especially when we are working with public health. We have to make it adequate to the reality in which it's going to be applied. And that's why we have two people who are just great about this topic. And I would like to start with Gaia, who I had the chance to meet in the beginning of this year. Such a special year for all of us. And I went, and I'm part of a group who is drafting the learning strategy, and it is coordinated, organized brilliantly by Gaia. And I asked her to share some of her view about future of lifelong learning for health. The floor is yours, Gaia.
Thank you so much, Carlos. And hello, Gabriel. Hello, everybody. What a pleasure to be with you today, and what an interesting and topic that is very close to all of our hearts. We are all lifelong learners, even if we don't realize it. But what we're trying to do is really to look at the future of lifelong learning in the health domain. And I really want to speak of it in the broadest possible sense. And since that day that I met Carlos, he's in our advisory group to WHO to help us develop a learning strategy to frame the future of lifelong learning in health. I myself have learned a great deal. So the first thing is where we are living. Where in time and space are we living? So according to futurists, according to tech experts, according to economists, we're living in the fourth industrial revolution. And this industrial revolution is really even more special than the ones of the past. So the first industrial revolution, if I just remind you, was in the 18th century when, you know, the steam engine really changed how we lived and worked and our economies worked. In the 1870s, we had what we call Industry 2.0, where we came much more to mass production, assembly line, and then electricity started being used. Industry 3.0 happened in my lifetime because I was born in the 60s. And that's really where automation and computing and electronics came into being. And apparently today, this is the time of cyber physical systems. So artificial intelligence systems that merge with biology, that merge with us. And it is the Internet of Things and of networking. So, you know, when you pick up your phone and say, hey, Siri, find this for me, or you turn on your electricity in your house using your phone, this is part of the Internet of Things. This will change our lives, but there'll be still inequity. And this is what the video we just saw was about as well. There will be the digital haves and the digital have-nots, okay? So less than 50% of the world has access to internet. In Africa, where the film in Tanzania was shot, only 20.7%, just one in five women have access to internet. But women form 70% of the global health workforce. They usually work in very low-income jobs. They're nurses, midwives, volunteers. They're not recognized. They're not paid well, right? And this is a real big problem. Even today, I run WHO's online learning, and I work very much with the next speaker, Gabrielle, and we've collaborated a lot on COVID trainings. We know there are people who don't have access to internet. And if they do, they have to pay for data. And that is a big cost. When they pay for data, they're not paying for food, they're not paying for health, and they're not paying for school. We have digital migrants or digital immigrants like me. When I didn't touch a personal computer until I was 37 years old. So I have to learn everything. Although I'm an expert in my area, I'm in an unnatural environment. And there are digital natives, people born. So Generation X, my generation, we are digital migrants and digital immigrants. But Generation Y and Generation Z, the millennials and beyond, they are digital natives. My daughter is a digital native in medical school, but her teachers are digital immigrants like me, and they don't know how to teach online during COVID. There is a big growing disparity and inequity even within countries, not just between rich and poor countries, but within countries. So I want us to understand, just because we have technology enhanced learning and technology empowered learning, we have to sort all of this out. And I know Carlos is very passionate about these areas as well. And this is another concept, that we are in a paradigm shift. We started with education 1.0. This is how I went to school in Sri Lanka, in England, where there was an education system. The teachers knew what I had to learn. I had to attend school and I had to pass exams. And then education 2.0 is much more the merge with my children. They had a curriculum, they had teachers, and there was accountability, but they were beginning to use technology. But now education 3.0 is really another kettle of fish. And I wanted to just use this slide just to clarify for us where we are. So in terms of learners, we used to be students or apprentices. Then education 2.0 happened, and now we don't just consume knowledge. The learners are also developing knowledge. We are crowdsourcing. Learning was received from experts to students. In education 2.0, it was formal and informal, but now it has become lifelong. And that includes formal in school, informal, it could be courses, and what we call non-formal is what we learn outside formal education, but we're learning. Knowledge was to be transmitted, then it was to be socially constructed, and today it's open, free, contextual, reinvented, and applied. We said that authoritative expertise was with academics. Later it became supported by facilitators, and now learning designers and leaders are doing it. Teaching was from teacher to student. Then we saw in my children's generation peer engagement, but now it is about co-construction. We went from degrees to licensing to really not caring less about that and being prepared for adapting in the 21st century. We know that many of our jobs will change, that parts of our jobs will change. We need to upskill and reskill. Technology was fixed and now it's mobile. And learning locations, we had to go into schools or classrooms. But now today, COVID has shown us we are learning everywhere, when we like, how we like. But I generally am so excited about technology, but I think it's not enough. I think we have to understand that people learn through constructivism. So I may get new knowledge, but what I learn is based on what I had before, and the meaning I give to knowledge is based on my old experience and my new experience. So actually, knowledge is very tailored to people. We have to apply learn. Means human beings are self-directed. They learn what they want because they want it. So I'll give you an example, and I'm sure, Carlos, you'll be happy. I was a doctor in my 20s. Actually, I was a journalist. I changed. I went to law college. Then I went to medical school. And when I came out for about a decade, I was quite quiet. And then in the last 6-7 years, I went back to school. I did 2 master's degrees with people who were in their 20s and 30s. And I was in my 50s, right? That's because it mattered to me what I was learning. Also, today is the golden age of neuroscience. We have discovered more in neuroscience in the last 10 years than we have throughout all human history, right? The functional MRI is showing how our brains work, how we learn, how our emotions, our responses and memory works, how our behavior. is mediated. And also we're learning, we are mammals, we have a mammalian brain, and that we are wired neurologically, biologically, and physiologically for social learning and social contact. And of course, knowledge networks are changing in the 21st century, where we have dynamic roles. Today I'm the teacher, tomorrow I'm the student. The day after I'm enabling someone else to learn. The day after that I'm giving resources for someone to learn. So it's really interesting. And this is why a reinvigoration of a global movement for lifelong learning in health is necessary. Lifelong learning is a term that was used mainly in the US, but in Europe, we use continuous professional learning, development. But actually, this is beyond the formal and informal learning. All right, I don't want to take too long. I know time is very short. I wanted to say also, I've drawn a lot of lessons personally because I've been very fortunate to lead WHO's training response to COVID-19. And as I've said, Paho and Gabriel and others have helped us so much collaborating on these courses. We've collaborated so much that our largest number of users are Spanish speaking. So thank you, Paho Virtual Campus. To today, from January 30th till today, we have scaled up to 4.5 million total learner enrollments. We offer things in 41 languages, and Carlos, as was in the video, including Swahili. But how are we doing this in COVID? We are crowdsourcing. So people are volunteering. Translators are volunteering. Ministries of health are volunteering to translate language, translate into local reality, but also to translate into local culture. Because in some cultures, people learn through an oral tradition, not through our videos. In other cultures, it's a written tradition. So we're trying to, in many cultures, there is no translation or distinction between the word outbreak, epidemic, pandemic, disease. No difference between virus and bacteria. So we have a massive crowdsourcing collaboration effort to do that. We have 5.7 million words translated, but the cost to us of giving one person enrollment in a course is less than 50 centimes, $50 centimes, half a US dollar, because of this great collaboration. What have we learned in emergencies that is included in lifelong learning? We have to be fast. Speed is important. We had our first course up within a week. Scale, massive scale. Access. Everybody, you should think of digital access, financial access. All our courses are free of charge for the user. Language access, access in terms of their preference. It has to be evidence-based and updated. COVID knowledge is moving every day, every week we're updating. So tomorrow we are going to launch 7 new topics on clinical management for COVID. And we're doing it in a collaborative way. And it is done through the work of a global network of 300 clinical management experts in countries who've come up with this. And it has to have relevance and applicability. So what are we doing? We want to develop a learning strategy. I think we'll have this time to talk about this, so I'm not going to take too long. But just to say, this learning strategy that Carlos and Gabriel and others are involved in with WHO, it is really to frame the contribution of learning to achieve global, national, and individual goals for public health. WHO's triple billion target, the Sustainable Development Goal 3, but also you and me. We have goals for our health. I have diabetes. How do I change my lifestyle to manage with that? How do I protect myself and my loved ones from COVID? How do I know what is the best nutrition to have? Should I take a vaccine or not? And we want to do this through lifelong learning and by igniting a global movement for equity in lifelong learning. We've done this in a really interesting way, so I'm not going to really go into this too much. We are here in this process. We've done literature review, a big idea survey. We have our consultations internally, externally with our advisors, and we are in the process of drafting this. And we'll be open for a full open consultation with member states and the public in November. The big ideas, if you allow me, in lifelong learning that we are getting are that everybody should have lifelong learning. It shouldn't be exclusive. It should be people-centered learning. And this is where we can use artificial intelligence to propose courses that are of interest and utility to people. Access, I already talked about, equity and fairness. People want not just the local adapted version, they want to be connected to the global. They want capabilities for now and the future. They want not just individual capacity, but capacity of systems and our ecosystem to be strengthened. People want to link learning with career. They want competencies that are technical. So if I'm a medical doctor for my medical work, but also transversal. So leadership, communication, conflict management. And they want special trainings for emergencies, One Health, environment, and the Sustainable Development Goals. So that's really my run through of my vision, and I'm really looking forward to the discussion.
Gaia, thank you very much. Surely we are going to talk about the academy and the learning strategy for the lifelong learning for health professionals. Thank you for joining us and sharing the experience of moving from, well, you were not an educator, although you were working in communication, in mass media, but then it is new times like you are showing us. It's always good to notice that in the health area, we have been working with education for longer with the use of technology than most educators have done in the past. And it's interesting to notice, and I would like you to go further on the importance of the mediation. But also, one of the questions that's arrived here is how do we motivate health professionals to join, especially if they don't have technology access? And then also you could try and speak a little bit about the importance of equity, especially when we are considering the access to technologies. Isn't it a political flag that we have to say, to advocate for broadband and access to devices for the populations? And now I have a friend. He's from Argentina, but he's living in Panama, but today he's in Buenos Aires. Yes, a lovely city. I love Buenos Aires. I should be with you. I can't at this time, but certainly I'll be visiting Buenos Aires. Gabriel, take the floor.
Okay, thanks, Carlos. I put my presentation. One moment, please. Okay. Okay, I suppose you can see, yes? Perfect. Your mute, please.
Yeah, you are sharing two slides.
Okay, one moment. Why? Here is. One moment. Now. Okay. Thanks, colleagues from the LAIS. Thanks, Carlos Oliveira. Thanks, Ricardo Valentin, for this invitation. It's an honor to me to present. In this case today, I will present the experience of the Pan American Health Organization Virtual Campus. We call in Spanish Campus Virtual de Salud Pública, acercando el conocimiento a la práctica, bringing knowledge to practice, yes? And it's very grateful to me to share this meeting with Gaia. Gaia leads one of the most important spaces in the world at this time to training health workers, and especially the opportunity that we have to discuss about the learning strategy. Thanks very much to be together today. I want to explain some ideas about our virtual campus. Since 2005, the virtual campus has been the Pan American Health Organization platform for building capacities in human resources for health. Our main goals is to develop institutional capacities and public health competencies. These objectives define what we do and what we need to do in the campus. In the virtual campus of Pan American Health Organization, we work together with all Pan American health departments, with all of the sub-regions, and with all of the countries. Yes, since its beginning, more than 15 years ago, it has always been focused in the perspective of lifelong learning. In general, in America, we refer to permanent education, yes? And our point of view was to help to process changes in the health services, yes? From this perspective, we always work with the objective of developing courses to help to transform the workplace, to transform the health system in each country. So the virtual campus offers around 20 tutorial courses and 70 open self-learning courses per year. I also want to emphasize that for Pan American Health Organization, all of the campus activities are framed in the strategy agreed by the member states on the human resource for universal health. The idea of using technological mediation for the training of health workers started 15 years ago. The first virtual course launched in 2005, yes? And for several years now, I suppose we are very grateful with the experience. We have been working to make the virtual campus a valid, accessible, and impactful option to the training of the health workers. Yes. All day we worked to remove barriers to learning and to promote, to go from the knowledge to the competencies, to go to the health workers problem, to generate concrete experience and activate the experimentation in all of our projects. This is our website. I invite to all of the participants in the meeting to visit the virtual campus. The virtual campus works in the 4 official languages of Pan American Health Organization: Spanish, English, Portuguese, and French. Everyone can process registration on the campus freely. Our main audience in Spanish. I am Argentine in Panama, yes, and I'm very happy to be today in Buenos Aires, in quarantine, but in Buenos Aires. Our main audience is in Spanish. In the last 4 years, we have grown a lot, for example, in English courses to the Caribbean countries. You know, in the world, there are a lot of material in English, but we work together with the health ministry to develop material focused on the needs to the Caribbean countries. What more? In the last years, similarly that occur in general, we have focused in massive courses, free self-paced learning courses, but we also pay particular attention to tutoring courses. Yes, in the tutoring courses on the campus, we work in general with 2 to 5 people in each country, people with responsibilities in the management of the health systems. In this case, we work together with the regional level, with the PAHO office in the country and with the Ministry of Health in the country. Yes, this is very important task to the virtual campus. We refer to the country notes as a very important experience of the virtual campus. Because we develop a lot of experience in tutors training. Yes, a lot of experience in English, in Portuguese, in Spanish, to develop the capacities of the teachers' teams to each course. This is the idea about the nodes. Yes, you can see here 7 areas, 7 departments of Pan American Health Organization and 18 flags. Yes. If you have a flag, it's because in this moment we are doing a special project in the country. And we work together, PAHO office, health ministry, and the office in the country of the organization. Okay, some information. It's important to me today to share this data. Why? In September 2020, the campus reached more than 1 million users and more than 2 million enrolled in different courses. But it's good and important to see that the growth of the campus was not directly related to the pandemic and to these years. Yes, we have a sustained growth of projects and users since 2014. It's very important to analyze this. This is linked to the new project of the campus. Is linking to the new technology that we use, and it's linking to the important work that we are doing together with the different health authorities in the countries. Most of the participants in our courses are health workers, nurses, and general practitioners are the majority. Around 15% of our audience are officials from the Ministry of Health, especially chosen to promote transformation projects in the countries linked to the tutor courses. And we are very happy because also every year, many students join the campus by the recommendation of their professors. When the university prepare course to the campus, they say, please to the student, visit this course, use this course before to go to the class. And this is very important experience to the PAHO virtual campus. Some ideas about our resources and the operation of the campus that I want to share to you, and I suppose it's very important with the ideas of lifelong learning and very important about the experience to the future years with the WHO Academy and the work together with universities, with governments, etc. Our work seeks to guarantee quality and interoperability. It's very difficult to me to say in English interoperability between all the actors involved. Because this we support, and this is 10, 12 years of history of the campus, that we support all of our work in Drupal as the main content management system, and Moodle as the main learning management system. We work together with the two systems, and this is very helpful to share materials and to share activities across the regional, sub-regional, and the country levels. Yes, as I already mentioned, country nodes work closely with universities and the national health authorities in the adaptation and developing of contents. Our perspective about open and interoperable educational resource has been fundamental in this year, especially in this year of pandemic, to help to assist the countries in their own developments, taking advantage of the regional materials, yes? And I want to introduce to you that in the last 4 or 5 years, the contribution of the general called business intelligence tools have also been key to our technical cooperation, to make data decision, yes, to have information to decision. Today, we can report to the countries with precision who is doing each course, where they work, and allow us to make the active decision to support training tasks and their articulation with health services, yes? Linked to Gaia refer about the access to internet, for example. It's very helpful to us to speak with, for example, with Guatemala in the last time, and to say, you have a lot of participants in Guatemala City. What is the problem in some areas? How we can help to these participants? This is very useful, and to our technical cooperation, we are all day in connection with our focal points in the different countries and the different advisors of each item in each country. Okay, about this year and about the pandemic. First of all, Gaia referred to this. We have the amazing collaboration of OpenWho. Thanks Gaia, and thanks to all of your team who allowed to us to translate into Spanish a lot of OpenWho courses. Gabriel want to have more courses in the campus from OpenWho. What you know, we translate and adapt the courses that PAHO emergency teams consider especially necessary. And it's important because we are doing translation to Spanish, but work with the adaptation, with the necessity to America. Yes, this is take time to do this. The regional material had a strong multiplier effect to advance training in many countries of our region. And after the course, the participants take virtual meetings, use the course to materials for webinars, use the material to develop local proposals, etc. You can see here the webinars space. We help in the realization done more than 80 webinars to exchange experience on the recommendation that Pan American Health Organization was making during the pandemic. And important things to us and to the country notes especially, and to the regional level too, was to open several virtual classroom that we call to support emergency virtualization. Yes, was to help to our regional advisor, to help to the country notes, to develop activities, workshop, courses that in general was seen in the first time to be face-to-face. But during the pandemic, they need to move to the virtual experience. And in these cases, our work is always to guide the design, to guide the process, to help to organize the project, to discuss that it's not the same to have all the people sit around the table 2 days, that to have a time and condition to discuss and work together in virtual conditions. I want to share some ideas about what is the situation now. And what is our experience in Czech the opportunity, the quality of our activities, and especially link with the idea of lifelong learning, and especially link with the idea to help to work different, to help the health system to transform. In general, we have a quality survey. In this quality survey, we heard what is the opinion about the experience in the virtual campus and what is the experience in each course, yes? And we work especially with the responsibility of each courses. We seek to improve the courses based on the opinion of the user. And for example, for us, the analysis of how the participant in the courses solve the assessments, it's also very important. It provides a lot of information for the improvement of cooperation in each country. We have a standard quality survey that we apply regularly. Here I put an example because we have more than 1 million responses, and 97% of users report the usefulness of what they have learned to improve their work. Yes, we all the time pay attention to this and work. We are working with this information with advisors in each country. Okay, here just to finish. Sorry about my English, but I want to explain some ideas about the context of the lifelong learning. And in the PAHO, this is PAHO history perspective, yes, the permanent education. And here I share some ideas that are key to consider in our development. To pay attention to health services problems, consider that learning takes place through action, reflection, and action, because this we need to work a lot with team buildings. The opportunity to learn to transform, not only learn to have a certificate, to learn to transform, to learn to work together. All the activities that we do in the campus, we try to ensure this process is followed in every project, yes? This is very important task to my team and to our focal points in each country, to discuss the opportunity of the campus activities to transform the reality of the participants. Okay, and only to share with you that I am very, very happy about the opportunity to work together in the global learning strategy. Very happy to have the opportunity to share the experience of the campus, to learn about different experience in the world. I'm very happy too to Pan American Health Organization to participate in this advisory group with 3 persons from America. One of these is Carlos Oliveira, and we're very happy that the LAIS is in this experience, and 2 colleagues, one from Canada or another colleague from Argentina. And I suppose we have a lot of work to do together in the next years. Finally, this is you know these photographs are very, in general, the people know about this. I want to reinforce the idea that any technological decision must be based on our educational decisions. Yes, no change occurs in the health services if we do not allow people to work and think together. And in the three photos, two are about people alone before technology and now. And the three photo is of our training course of virtual tutors. Because always I say to the different teachers teams that we need to sing together. And if you sing together, we sing better. Face-to-face or virtual, we need to develop and to continue to work together virtual, but sing together and to help to our health professionals to work better. Thank you very much, and at your service. Thank you, Carlos, Gaia.
Thank you, Gabriel. It was really good to see the work that you're doing at Bahu with the virtual campus. But I've got some questions here. Some of them I also already put to Gaia, and I would like to know her opinions on that. There is one sentence that is one of our purpose to exist at the learning strategy, creating a movement around the future of learning for public health. And having as another purpose, remove barriers to learning, promote excellence in learning for improving people's health, using the most effective education standards and adult learning know-how. That's our dream. That's the dream for all of us. And Gaia, after seeing the sustainable growth of users in WHO, Open WHO, at virtual campus, and with Avasus in Brazil and the countries that also see the material, what do you think? Do we, digital learning and the use of mediation came to bring access to more and more people, but then we have to work to give them chances to have the opportunity to go to the digital world. Okay, Gaia, please tell us your dream, creating a movement around the future of learning for public health.
I think I have to say, I'm really happy in this webinar because we are finally talking about something that can have sustainable impact. You know, the PAHO virtual campus has been doing this for a long time, but it's with COVID, people who are reluctant are beginning to appreciate it. You know, the Chinese character, I speak Chinese, the Chinese character for crisis has two components. One is danger and the other is opportunity. And there is a great opportunity at the moment because, you know, my 77-year-old mother is on her iPad, you know, learning and communicating. So I think there is a great opportunity. I think it would be very sad if we don't understand the realities of the barriers. And we have to remove these barriers ourselves. And they're barriers that keep growing and keep changing. People may have access, digital access. And you're right, Carlos, you said, should we advocate for access to the internet for all? Absolutely, yes. Because this is going to be the currency with which we do transactions in the 21st century. Yes, we should. The Secretary General of the UN has an agenda for digital access for all. So we should absolutely be demanding this. And we should not just be saying, oh, they don't have access, what can we do? There are things we can do. For example, the International Telecommunications Union can talk directly with governments to do things to increase infrastructure, to reduce cost of data, because the cost of data is paralyzing people, right? Then we can do things in terms of language, in terms of culture. And in the meantime, we can also offer low bandwidth solutions. So audio files and so on. So there are many things we can do. But what is a movement, Carlos? You asked this question. A movement is a coalition of people walking in the same direction. They don't know the same things. They don't believe exactly the same things, but we agree on a vision and principles and we think it's important. But in order to do that, we have to give everybody a voice. So learners should play a big voice. And this is why health literacy and participation is important. Universities, who are the formal institutions, but all the way to the practitioners who have practical information, should have a voice. When we try to integrate gender into development, what did we do? We said gender has to be described in every project proposal. You have to have a budget line for gender. That's what we need to do. We have to do that for learning. Every guideline, every project has to have a component. You'd be surprised to know that World Health Organization, we think, spends about 200 million a year in ad hoc training. But it's ad hoc. It is not together. It's not in the same direction. So our impact is not significant. That's why this academy is important to us. But the academy will be a part of a bigger movement. Earlier, you asked one more question and I'll stop. You asked how to motivate people. People are learning all the time. This is the nature. We see a tiger, we run away from the tiger. This is learning, right? We shout at our teenagers, we learn it doesn't work. We find a different methodology. This is learning. I came into this job as a medical doctor. I'm not practicing medicine. I've had to learn new skills over the last 20 years. This is learning. If we make it accessible, affordable, relevant, applicable immediately, people are learning. We're just not calling it learning, right? But it should be in the value of lifelong learning, marching in the same direction, everybody participating, co-creating, supporting each other. There is no teacher and student. We recognize all of this. And we have to be respectful that people can learn when they want and how they want. So in the lockdown, a lot of people might think, oh, people have time, they're at home, they can study. No, they can't. They are teaching their children homeschooling. They're cooking they're doing childcare. Now, men and women can understand how women have to do unpaid work while they have to do paid work. I think we have great empathy for each other during this time. I think the movement is beginning. What we want to do is reignite it. I'm sorry, it's like I'm on my soapbox, but I'm so passionate about this. So thank you, Carlos.
There is one thing I would like, before I pass it to Gabriel, could you just say a few words of what the academy, the dream of the academy is? Because for most people who are watching us and the future people who will see the OER, could you just give the idea of what we are drawing to be the academy?
This was actually a participatory process. A staff member used the open door policy for our Director General, Dr. Tedros, and met with him and said, why don't we have an academy? And he loved this idea. And he spoke on the sidelines of a major meeting with the President of France, Mr. Macron, and they decided that they wanted to push this forward. In short, the academy will be the smart school of the future for lifelong learning in public health. It will serve WHO staff around the world. All our experts, our networks, it will be our staff school. But more importantly, it hopes to reach tens of millions of people working in health, individual professionals, doctors, nurses, environmental officers, hygiene officers, teams, and the whole system of public health. So it's really meant to achieve public health goals. So global goals like SDGs, the 3 billion, national goals. So Gabrielle talked about how the countries also have to decide what their goals are and what they want, but also individual goals. And we're trying to bring the best, as you said, excellence in learning to make sure that public health knowledge reaches where it should. Before this, Carlos, it could take up to 10 years for our guidelines to reach the field. This is a tragedy. Before COVID, 95% of countries on this planet were on track not to reach SDG 3 on health. That was before COVID. The last few months of COVID has put us back in terms of public health by 25 years. So we have so much to do. We understand now how technology can serve anybody, young and old, but we have to steer it with ethics. This is the issue. The ethics of equity, the ethics of being science-based, and the ethics of non-exclusion.
Gaia, you brought us the same as in education. You know that we are saying that we are going back 30 years, about 3 decades because of COVID. Dr. Antonio Guterres said that we might have a COVID generation, which is just, it's just terrible. And we have a lot to do. And I would like to hear a little bit from Gabriel about one of the things that Gaia said, which is how do we change our learning spaces, hospitals and centers in 21st century knowledge networks. And so this is part of what we have to do. Is not just preparing a MOOC and put it in the learning management system. It is how does it affect and create knowledge societies, knowledge networks, knowledge organizations, and knowledge health systems. What would you say about the experience and the Pan-American Health Organization and countries?
Thanks, Carlos, and thanks, Gaia, for your presentation about the WHO Academy, because it's very interesting, the idea of the movement. Yes, very, very interesting about this. Thanks, Carlos. I want to say to you that in our experience, the most important things to the project that was quality, effective, with impact, was the project where all the people work together. The health workers, the decision makers in the government, the universities, the teachers, the virtual team of the project. These are the experience where we can share good experience and good effect in the health services. Yes, in general, I say to our teams, the teachers, the tutors, need to work together 2 or 3 months before the course begins, but not only to read materials, to discuss the problem, to discuss how we help the participant, to be in touch with the different countries to help the implementation of the project. Yes, you know, in our tutor course, in general, to finish the course, the participants work together and develop project to each country. The course is to develop project to the country, and to the tutors of the course work together with the participant during the course to the implementation of this. In my case, in the experience of the campus, this is one of the most important tasks in our work with the different nodes. But
so what you are saying...
Sorry.
What you're saying is that for the virtual campus, it's very important to the process of creation is very, very relevant, because in this process, everybody also learn to recognize the needs of a population, the needs of the health sector, and then to formulate something that is more adequate. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it's exactly. But in another side, in the massive course, yes, because in general, we saw a lot of intention, for example, in PAHO with my colleagues, that they want to put in the campus self-learning course. Yes, I want to put in the campus this material. Okay, I discuss with them. You can put the course in the campus, but you need to work together with all the countries, with all of the health ministry, with all to use the course to discuss the cost, because I share with us about the assessment. If all the participants in one course in one country fall in the questions, we have problem. We need to discuss with the country and to help to them, because we like a lot to say that the virtual campus of PAHO is a technical cooperation strategy. The campus is the opportunity to help to change things. It's not only the idea to put course and to give certificate. And I agree with the idea that lifelong learning, the idea that we are working together in lifelong learning is this: to give more tools to the people. Yes, this is very important, to prepare to the people to change to different work during the years. But in another side, to build together health system that can respond to the necessities. Yes.
I have a question. We're coming to the close of our session in 12 minutes. But I'd very much like Gaia to speak a little bit about the ethics of this new time. When we're speaking about these ethics of the digital society, I would like to ask you the idea that you have about the use of learning analytics of data, because it is very important in the health area that we know who are our professionals, where they are, but how do we deal with this data produced so as to have ethics in its use, and also to understand what this new ethics, because you spoke twice about ethics and equity, and that those two things are very important considering this digital society. So please, Gaia, what are your ideas on that? And then we come back to the end, but I'll talk to Gabriel too.
Okay. I have to tell you that there are experts in ethics in the digital age, and I'm certainly not one of them. But I am a human being, and I really have a view on this. I think digital technology is being fueled by data, right? So data is the commodity. So everything is free, everything is open access, but in return, we pay with our personal information. Now, there is a very that seems very reasonable, because when we have data about people, we can help them navigate the path, and we can adapt everything, we can serve them. But if that data is not protected and it is used as a commodity, this is going to be an amazingly unethical and very difficult thing. Now, we've heard with social media and monetizing them. So many companies, tech companies, have people who monetize data. That's their job, right? So how in education can we deal with this? Because companies in the private sector have put a lot of resources into this already. So all I can say is others are ahead of us, and we have to get ethicists working in the digital age to work with us, and particularly an institution like the Academy, where people will trust WHO, give data, right? We have to have a very strong ethical framework on what we gather, how we use it, and who, if anybody, we share it with. We have to be very, very clear. So this sounds like a value-based proposition, but there are lots of landmines, and we have to respect this, and so that we do not monetize people's data, and we do not use people's data in a way that others benefit and the people who give us data are harmed. So trust is going to be something that we have to build with our systems, with our ethical system. And the reverse side of that is related to equity, right? So again, beyond that, how can we make sure everybody has access, not just of what we want to give them, but in terms of we produce what is needed for good health outcomes. I think that's it. When we say it's people-centered, there are so many buzzwords, But generally, we have to really be very clear. What are we doing? Why are we doing? How does this protect others? How does this help others? How does this stop exploitation, even unwittingly? So these are, I only have questions, Carlos. I don't have answers, but I can tell you in the strategy, which we are working on, this is going to be a very important component. And I think we have to make this a condition of how we move forward so that people can have trust in this process. They can have confidence that they are in charge of their own information and that whatever they share with us, we use it only as we say that we will. And this is, I'm not, as I'm not a tech expert, I'm a medical doctor, I know well enough to go and find the right people to do this, but that would be my approach. Over.
Thank you. Gabriel, I would like you to explain a little bit how different it is for you to deal with different countries, different needs, and how you are interchanging with the health professionals. For example, in Central America or in the Caribbean, which is totally different from the reality of, for example, the Amazon forest in Brazil and the work in Brazil, which is a country with many contradictions. At the same time that we are wealth and we have access to many things, we have very, very poor populations, vulnerable society, people living in conditions that are not human, and so many differences in only one country. So how do you deal with this in the idea of having the virtual campus?
Thanks, Carlos. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. In general, we try to work a lot with the experience of each country. Yes? It's not the same to work with Brazil and with Argentina than to work with the Central American countries. In general, we try in the regional level to develop the first material, the first idea. But then we work a lot with the specification, with the idea to each region. For example, Central America and the Caribbean countries work together. All the Caribbean countries work together. Central America work together. In general, this is our idea, and our experiences is very well about this. Another thing that I want to share about this is that the professionals, the participants in our courses, like a lot to share experience from one country to another. And for example, we develop a lot about collaboration. For example, from South America to Caribbean, from South America to Central America. This is very, very important experience in the virtual campus. The idea is not to go only from the regional, sub-regional, and countries, and to go from the country to the sub-regional and to the regional level. Yes, we work a lot with this idea, with good examples in some areas and in other areas that need more development. The most important thing is to have teams with compromise in the different levels. When you have strong teams to work in the Caribbean, to work in Central America with the materials, the activities was very, very with good experience with them. Yes.
And now, Gaia, the last thing I would like to ask you is about curating. When we are working with the open educational resources in the health area, it's very important to curate the material. Is this one of your worries, or about how do we choose material, see if it is still appropriate, especially in times of emergencies, as your unit works basically with health emergencies, not only with pandemics. So how do we qualify professionals to work with this idea of curating health OERs? And please, I would like you to, at the end of your answer, say a few words and give us a hope for the future of lifelong learning in the health area.
So thank you so much. It's a really important question. And so let me start with whichever course, particularly for WHO, it has to be an approved content. So the easiest approved content is our guidelines. WHO has a normative function, it's a specialized agency, and we have a very strict process on how to come up with guidelines, not guidance. A WHO guideline is a policy document for member states to take. So that's a safe content. So when we have existing guidelines, that's very safe. Second, if there's new material, the stuff that we have to develop, we have to make sure we've convened all the relevant experts from all parts of the world to make sure that even if there isn't evidence, everybody agrees on the current date, this is the right practice. That's the second. During emergencies, Carlos, it's of course very difficult, but still, Heini Utunen, who runs the Open WHO platform with me, she has a great system. She speaks, we have an incident management system when an emergency is graded. In that, there is somebody in charge for health operations. She works with the technical leads for different areas. So for clinical management, she knows who it is, and that person must clear the material. And then she takes it and she transforms that into learning. So we have strict standard operating procedures. I think as we go forward on the academy, we can continue to do this. But with the nature of lifelong learning, with different people coming up with different sources of knowledge, we're going to have to figure that out. We're going to come up with SOPs for doing that. But also on a learning platform, you can have communities of practice, which isn't WHO endorsed knowledge, but people can share. People can share that. So I think this is really technology allows us to do this, but we have to be very clear what we recommend, because it can be a matter of life and death and lots of financial and what practitioners and learners are discussing. And just to finish off, I think I don't need to give you hope for lifelong learning. You two have been doing this much longer than I have. I'm a new kid on the block, but I truly enjoy seeing people learn and grow. And we have this unique opportunity that is given not just by the academy, not just by your experience, but by COVID, where we have the world's attention. But we have to get it right. We have to get the equity right, the ethics right, the technology right, the learning science right, adaptability to countries right. We have to get it all right. So I believe together as a movement, if we come together, not for profit, but we come for goods, and we see education in health as a global public good, is a good for humanity, we can move forward. And with senior people like you, Carlos, and with Gabriel and others, I am very confident that this time we're going to make it work. So thank you so much for this conversation.
Be welcome, new kid on the block. We love new kids on the block because they have all their, they're so happy to be with the other kids. So you are part of the group. Gabriel, the same considerations for you, and thank you, Gaia, for being with us. Gabriel, your consideration, and then on this curation process, and then your final words. I don't like final words, never, but final for today.
Okay, Carlos, thank you very much. The curation is one of the things that with the country notes, we work a lot. We have a very important team that work together. We have the helpful assistance of the Biblioteca Virtual de Salud from Vireme in Brazil. Vireme is the office of the Pan American Health Organization about repositories, etc., and we work together with this. It's very important task. We need to continue to work with this with all of the countries, and the experience of Brazil is very important with this. And to finish, thanks very much for the invitation. Thanks, Gaia, because it's an honor to share the experience of the campus with you. I want to say to the colleagues in the world that from the virtual campus, I am very happy to have a LAIS in the future as a collaboration center from WHO, and will be very useful to the experience of the campus, virtual campus. And I want to say to you that we need to continue to work together, not only because this pandemic year. We need to continue to work together and to build together the ideas of the lifelong learning to help to transform the health systems. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.
So we had such a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening. It depends on where you are. But don't worry, let me tell you one thing. The material that is here, the slideshows, they are going to be in our YouTube channel. So you can just join, and then you will have the presentations and also the video, which gave us the idea of how LAIS is working internationally with a country like Tanzania. So it's very interesting also. I also want to thank Professor Ricardo Valentim to give us the opportunity to get together with all the team that is back there so that this show works well. It's not just open a camera and start speaking. There is backup people here doing wonderful job. Also, the ones that asked us questions. I try to include the questions in my questions. So if you don't feel that I did it, sorry, but I didn't have much time. But they are here. Thank you, Vanya. All the Brazilians who were here with us. It was a great opportunity to have you. But remember, the open educational resources will also be in the virtual campus. Then we will see other places to put them. And they're going to have subtitles in Portuguese and Spanish. So we are not going to miss anything. Thank you, Gaia. It was great to be with you here. Thank you, Gabriel. It was just great to have you two with me today. So for you who were with us, kisses, a virtual hug, and let's be well. Let's be well. It's going to pass, and we will be better in the future, for sure. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Everybody be safe. Thank you so much. Take care.
Oh.